Today we are discovering what secrets The Amazing Race did not tell us in the edited TV show. Some of these are game related, some are strategic, and some are just plain silly. Basically, as long as it isn't part of the show that aired on TV, it is fair game to be considered a secret, and heads up, these secrets can be literally about any season of the show. So with that, let's count all 21 of them in absolutely no particular order. Number 1. Many conspiracy theorist fans say that the non-elimination legs are strategically placed during the season to save production favorites. Bertram and Elise, the creators of the show, give us the truth on the matter.
How far in advance do you determine when there'll be a non-elimination leg?
Long before we go.
Yeah, once we've
has been an issue a couple times. People think that we do this last minute. We don't. Everything that is laid out is laid out. Huh?
Yeah, people always think, oh, did you make that a non-elimination because you didn't want to lose a great team? But no, we can't make those decisions. We would be called on this. Someone would find out, be on the internet in 5 minutes. All that gets decided.
Well, that's not the reason. The reason we don't do it is because it's a competition. It's a reality competition with a huge prize attached to it. So this is all laid down long before we go and also approved by the network, etc., etc.
Number 2. Have you ever heard of the company Tom's Shoes? It's a company where you buy a pair of shoes and they give another pair away to kids who need it. As it turns out, this company was created by Blake from season 2 of The Amazing Race.
But they had this new show called The Amazing Race come out where they were teams. We were the youngest team on the show. I was 25 and Paige was 21. And after 31 days, we lost $1 million by 4 minutes. It was kind of crushing defeat, but at the same time, it was one of the best experiences of my life and something I got to do with my sister and brought us so close. And it kind of opened my eyes not only to, you know, kind of the world and some of the challenges of the world and poverty and things that I saw that I'd never seen before.
Number 3. The Amazing Race being renewed nowadays seems to almost be a given based on us being 35 seasons deep into the show and counting. Well, back when it first started, it actually struggled a lot and they were concerned it was going to be canceled all the time.
You know, editing away, and I would see the reflection on one of the monitors of somebody standing before me. It'd be, you know, a different producer, and they would. I remember this one moment. This one guy, he was looking at it. He says, "That looks really good. Too bad it's the last one." Because that was the feeling, was that, you know, we're probably not going to get renewed because it's, you know, it was a great experiment. But you know, it had a good run. It had 4 seasons. What happened then was that the show was originally going to be aired in February of 2004, but it was delayed. And coincidentally, that was the first year, I believe, that the Television Academy had the Emmy for Best Reality Competition Show. In other words, it was the first time that competition reality shows were up for an Emmy. So, and the show won while it was on the air. So it was this great confluence of events that had people recognize the show. So, oh, maybe I'll check it out.
By the way, thank you for watching Once Upon an Island. Liking and subscribing really helps the channel, and if you want to pick what videos I make and watch everything up to 6 months early, then consider supporting this channel on Patreon. If that interests you, then check out the link in the description. Thank you for your support. Number 4. When the Twinnies, aka Natalie and Nadia, stole another team's money on season 21, people were furious. Like, sure, the money was left lying around, not in their possession, but it still wasn't right. Here is Phil addressing the issue.
And a lot of times, we show something that happens on that leg, but that information and that moment, I have not seen or heard about when they get to the mat to call them out on that moment. So sometimes, if you remember what happened with the Twinnies, when the Twinnies moved the money, and people called me out on that, and they were like, hey, why didn't you call them out on that? Why didn't you ask them about what happened? Well, I didn't know. I didn't have all that information. I wasn't armed with all that information in the moment because, again, people don't realize 12 shows, 21 days, the information literally cannot make it to me sometimes. But if I know something, you can be guaranteed that I will call them out on it.
Number 5. In that same interview with Phil, he talks about how his casting preferences for The Amazing Race is really focused on normal people and not celebrities, not people we already know. So if Phil still thinks this way, because this was in an interview around the time of season 24 and 25, I guess he really doesn't like the direction they've gone since season 28.
I think it's good for the fans who are into it. My favorite teams are not necessarily teams that have come from a particular reality show as much as I love teams that are so-called ordinary people who are then thrust into our show, which is, an extraordinary situation. That to me is the most exciting. They're the most exciting to watch. The people that really have never had anything to do with TV and who are there because it's just they're wide-eyed about the opportunity that this race brings them, and it's not. They don't bring anything from another show. They are just raw, real Americans who come into it, take part in a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Number 6. In a previous Amazing Race Secrets video, I addressed the issue with teams booking more than one flight for themselves, as this was quickly abused. And now a lot of us wonder, why doesn't the show let them book their flight at all on non-COVID seasons?
A lot of it too has to do with the fact that there's a lot more people traveling now than there were in 2000. So a lot of flights were empty. There were a lot of international flights where planes weren't, completely booked up, but that's changed dramatically now. So it's like I was saying before, people take travel a little bit for granted now. It's, maybe it'll be different after COVID. I hope.
Well, also I wonder if just as the technology has evolved and it's sort of easier to book flights.
Yes, it's so different.
Well, now we have the Travelocity app, right?
Number 7. Amy and Maya may have won season 25, but while doing so, Amy seriously injured herself in a way that I can't truly comprehend, and I'm surprised she pushed through, and yeah, it's still affecting her today.
About a week before we left for New York, I just thought I pulled a muscle running, but apparently it was significantly worse than that. I actually went to a doctor the day we got back and learned that I had a whole bunch of cracks in my hip. So I pretty much ran the entire thing with a slightly fractured pelvis, which thinking back was probably silly because I still have a bit of hip pain. But part of the reason I did the first roadblock was because I already knew that my pain was going to get worse throughout. So it just was something we built into how we ran. I think we'd run very differently now.
Number 8. The Amazing Race premiered right when 9/11 happened, which was a terrible time, not only in America, but for any show trying to garner any attention when all eyes were on the news and people were thinking about bigger things. Here is Phil Kogan's 9/11 story.
I was living in New York at the time, and I remember the banners on the front of the buses.
Yeah.
And we launch, and Amazing Race goes out to the world, and then 3 days later, 9/11. And I see, I think it was on CNN or one of the news feeds, I see a bus. The same buses that I've been seeing driving around New York City. The bus is covered in dust.
Yeah.
And on the front of the bus is a poster that says The Amazing Race.
Oh, man.
And there are people bleeding and who are covered in dust getting on the bus. And I see that poster. And in that moment, I thought, it had all been about Amazing Race, promoting Amazing Race. This is the greatest thing, and it was such an important part of my life. And in an instant, it was like, what does it all mean?
Yeah.
What it suddenly felt like this very trivial thing in my world. I realized, well, what was the significance of it? Now, with reflection, I realized the value of Amazing Race, but in that moment, it just didn't matter.
Number 9. The Cowboys from seasons 16, 18, and 24 are beloved by most fans, though the casts of their first 2 seasons didn't really like them. Here is Cord doing a TED Talk where he talks about how him and Jet even got on the show.
So Jet and I, we go home and we fill out a bio and we do a little 20-second video and send it in. You really don't realize how country you are until you send someone in Hollywood a home video. And it kind of goes something like this. Howdy, my name's Cord McCoy. This is my brother Jet. We're gonna win your little race around the world. That's what they said. So they called and said, hey, we seen that video. Would you guys be interested in coming to LA and interviewing? Big city, here we come. Take us to this fancy hotel, and there's hundreds of pairs of 2, all of them wearing yoga pants and basketball shorts, matching up. And me and Jet didn't get that memo because I had a white hat on, he had a black hat on, he had a brown long sleeve shirt, and I had a white long sleeve shirt, brown boots, black, but we missed the memo on matching. Very first thing, they walk us in this room, and there's a whole crew of people from New York City and LA, ready for this first interview. And very first question, they're right back on the wardrobes. They said, what are you guys gonna wear on this Amazing Race? Yeah, I'm wearing pretty much the same thing I'm wearing right now, hat, long sleeve shirt, boots. Well, I look at Jet and look back at these city folks and say, well, we're ready to go.
Number 10. As you may recall, Team Guido from seasons 1 and 11 named themselves after their dog. Are you ready to meet the dog to help make this villainous team infamous?
And you're reunited with the inspiration for Team Guido. You have Guido here. Look at Guido, is adorable. And I'm sure he missed you very, very much.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Number 11. So get this, the winners of season 11, Eric and Danielle, by the way, a very disappointing team to win that season, state in this interview that I'm about to show you how they broke up after the race.
Okay, I bet this race tried your relationship. Everyone wants to know, are you guys still a couple?
We're getting married. No.
Oh, you gotta fix your mic.
No, we're not getting. Are
you still boyfriend-girlfriend?
We're not boyfriend-girlfriend now. We get along well, but we realized on the race that our relationship really isn't gonna really work out too well. Two different people, but everything's good. I'm happy for her and she's happy for me. But it's not the best place to test your relationship on The Amazing Race.
However, the truth of the matter is revealed later, when no one really cared anymore, that they only dated a few months before the race, broke up, and pretended to be together so they could stay on the show. And to think we could have had a better team than them, replacing them on season 11. Number 12. Zev and Justin from season 15 suffered a horrible fate when they lost their passports and were eliminated from the game. So the real question is, what happened to their passports? How did they lose them?
All right, tell me, where was the passport?
We went to a monastery where we were not supposed to go, and he pulled out a flashlight and it came out then.
And along with the flashlight, the passport fell out. You guys, though, were in first place. I'm having a little trouble opening the plastic, but I'm gonna get it. You were in first place until this happened. So all of a sudden, you learn that since you don't have the passport, you've got, what, like 20 minutes that you need to find it. What's going through your mind at that point, Justin?
We made a big production out of looking for it, and by the time, we realized what had happened and got back out to go look for it, we knew that the other teams were pretty close behind us. So
did you guys did you have to let them know, Zev? Could you have maybe skated by and won before they found out, or no?
We did skate by and win, and then after, when we were checking our bags, we realized it was missing. We talked about it, but I think it was already too late.
Number 13. Brooke and Claire, the infamous watermelon face team from season 17, have never played again on The Amazing Race. Why is that? Well, it isn't because the show didn't ask them back.
Now, they showed previews last night for this next season, sort of alluding to people who didn't win that might race again. Can you say? Will you say? Can you?
Well, we were asked, and we would have loved to do it, but Claire is pregnant.
So maybe the next Amazing Race.
Just you wait to see.
Let's see you guys on the mat.
All right. Do you mind if I give you $1 million?
Oh, please do. We've been waiting.
Do you mind? I just happen to have a check right here. How about that? I'm no Phil, but I've got the money.
That's all that matters.
So how about that?
Number 14. Jeff and Jackie were the only blind date couple from season 26 to actually sort of work out. I know, I'm shocked that Haley and Blair didn't make it either. Blair! Anyways, they were asked to play on Big Brother 17, and of course, they ended up breaking up as they were basically just lusting for each other.
Well, I thought it was only fair that I return the favor.
So when Jeff and Jackie walk in the door, I instantly recognize them from The Amazing Race.
So I've gone from racing around the world to now being stuck in this little house, and it could not be more of a different game.
Are you guys dating?
Oh, no, we're not.
Maybe I asked twice. I don't know. I'm so excited.
Number 15. This is kind of a well-known secret for most fans, but if you have never seen Survivor, then prepare to have your mind blown. Natalie and Nadia both were invited to play on Survivor after The Amazing Race, with Nadia being voted off first, and I'll just say Natalie does really well in season 29. So well, in fact, that Natalie's asked back for season 40, where she is promptly voted off first. These twinnies may be cursed. Number 16. Robbie and Brooke from season 25 may not have worked out after the show ended, but Robbie did compete on the short-lived Titan Games, where he competed in this challenge that actually was set up incorrectly the first time, while they're already doing it. So in the middle of the episode, they had to pause, reset the doors, and then proceed again, but the show cuts this out. The only way I know this is because there is a comment from somebody who's like, I was there at the filming, and I'm shocked they were able to cut around this.
Bridger, Buckley, and Robbie Strauss are in a war.
Number 17, Rachel Riley is a bona fide reality TV star. First, she does 2 seasons of Big Brother where she wins one. Then she plays 3 seasons of The Amazing Race where she doesn't cut her hair for $20,000. And then she wins Snake in the Grass with Suri Fields, but then participates on The Traitors where she is killed in the game by the same Suri Fields. Nice.
Kate, I don't care if you think I'm offensive. I'm a faithful, and y'all are a bunch of idiots. Like, you're literally being manipulated by people that are so freaking obvious.
Number 18, many fans of Total Drama Island know that that is a cartoon parody show of Survivor, but not many people know about The Redonkulous Race, which is a cartoon parody of The Amazing Race. What else would it be about?
I'm your host, Don, and this is The Redonkulous Race.
Number 19. Remember how Amy badly injured herself on season 25 but still won? Well, Mark from Mark and Bopper revealed that he suffered a similar fate when he broke both of his legs over the course of the show, and one of those breaks happened in leg 1. Number 20. Blake, aka the guy who made Tom's shoes and played on season 2 of The Amazing Race, was also once a guest host on Shark Tank.
We're here today seeking $150,000 in exchange for 10% equity of our company. Does your paint closet look anything like this?
Ooh, if so, you have half a dozen gallon cans with just this much paint.
So that's why I invented the patented Touch-Up Cup for paint. Touch-Up Cup has extra threads and an airtight silicone seal to keep paint fresh for over 10 years.
So I would love to make you an offer. So I'd like to do $200,000 for 25%.
Could you do $200,000 for 20%?
I love this kid. I love that you're asking, but I really think the value that I'm gonna bring, I need to own 25% equity.
Blake, you have a deal.
Okay, great, thank you.
Number 21. Do you remember Flo and Zach? Flo was insufferable as she didn't really do anything except for cry and complain and just wanted to quit multiple times. Zach basically won that season for them, I'm shocked. But in that same season, the one thing that Flo did do is flirt with Drew. And you may be wondering, did they work out? Well. As they dated for 7 years, Flo and Drew were actually asked to be on season 11, but they declined, so they were replaced with Eric and Danielle. Wow. And no, they don't work out. They date for 7 years and then they break up. So which secret surprised you the most? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching. Doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.